In 1966, the Beatles released Revolver, and my friend Jim and I are going to talk about it on this episode of Records with Ray. A lot of times when you talk about the differences between like what your favorite Beatles album is and what their best album is, that could be two different things, in my opinion. Yours and mine, our favorite Beatles album is the White Album.
Agreed.
But I think I gotta say that Revolver is their best album.
Yes, I could agree with that as well.
It's a solid album. It's a solid album. And the version I have is the British version.
Okay.
So it has all the extra songs on it, like Dr. Robert and Ingeborg Can Sing, and
yes.
So that's the album that I know of. But like, I think it's I think it's like the perfect combination. It's right there at the center. Well, it's middle era.
It's middle.
It's middle era Beatles, but
yeah.
You can start seeing aspects of like what the next phase would be, but it still maintains older Beatles. Like it wouldn't be out of place if you were to hear something like She Said. Wouldn't be too far out of place. That would have been something that would have been on like Help or something like that.
Well, they've already said, you could consider like Rubber Soul Volume 1 or Revolver Volume 2, but
I don't like
I sort of disagree
I don't like
with that.
I don't like saying that because I think there's a different vibe with both of those albums.
Yeah.
I think Rubber Soul kind of has, for lack of a better term, like a country-ish
Rubber Soul?
Like a folky kind of feel.
Definitely.
Where Revolver has like Tomorrow Never Knows on it. What's that? Love You Too? Is that the George Harrison one?
Yeah. Yeah, he was introducing his Indian influence, starting with Revolver.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, I can't really call this Volume 2 and Rubber Soul Volume 1. This has its this holds its own.
Yeah.
Absolutely is one of the greatest Beatle records of all time, in my opinion. I mean, like again, you can hear John with "I'm Only Sleeping," which is a fantastic song.
I love that song.
Yeah, and then you go into Paul with "Here, There, and Everywhere."
Yeah.
Complete difference. There's so much variety as well.
Eleanor Rigby, right?
Yes.
Incredible song using like the classical instrumentation and stuff like that.
Yeah, and it was actually starting with Revolver. There was a new sound on this album as far as the drums were concerned.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because it was the first album where the microphone was actually placed inside the bass drum with the front head off.
Oh, okay.
And they got a stronger, more dominant sound.
Yeah.
Especially in Tomorrow Never Knows when you hear the drums in that. Yeah. If you compare it to earlier records, because they started with a different engineer.
Yeah.
Jeff Emmerich on this album, Revolver.
And I'm gonna. So let's go into the middle there. Let's go into the later era Beatles. Because like you got to think like the next album that they did was Sgt. Pepper's.
You got something like this. Like how do you top this?
It's a great album, right? But when you start breaking down Sgt. Pepper's, she's leaving home. Yeah, that song's okay. Fixing a Hole is okay. Like the what's the Indian song that George Harrison has on Sgt. Pepper's? I forget what it's called.
I can't recall it either.
Yeah, but whatever it is, his song on here is way better in my opinion.
Oh, Love You Too.
Yeah,
on here.
I just think it's and then when you talk about like Magical Mystery Tour, that's kind of like it almost seems like the second side is like all B-side, like the songs. It was kind of an album that was kind of thrown together because they already had Sgt. Pepper's. No, they already had Strawberry Fields recorded. Like that was a single.
That was a single,
and then they put it on Magical Mystery Tour.
Yes,
I guess what I'm saying is like talk about we're like if you want to talk about like with the White Album, what makes it awesome is that it's not cohesive. I think what makes Revolver awesome is that it is cohesive.
Yeah, I could agree with that.
Yeah.
Yeah, they don't, the songs, I mean, they're all brilliant. They don't break far away from each other.
Yeah.
I mean, Tomorrow Never Knows, though, is such a, wow, I mean, innovative piece of music, especially for 1966.
Yeah, they always talk about like why is the Beatles considered to be like the best band?
And I just think the influences, the writing influences that John and Paul would just pick up from everyday experiences and what they were going through or who they were interacting with is just amazing.
Yeah.
Once again, you know, I'm amazed by this, continuously amazed by this band. I mean, now, I mean, you know, that's the thing with Beatles songs, Beatle albums. The diversity is so much that, you know, we could put 3-4 other people in here and their favorite albums would be something completely different.
Yeah.
You know,
is that true with Beatles fans? Have you saw that? Have you talked to other people that are Beatles fans and you'd say like what's your favorites and what do people normally go to?
A lot of them go, you know, they jump right to Sgt. Pepper.
Really?
You know, well, I mean, you know, these people that I have met.
Okay.
That are
I know a lot of people
consider themselves Beatle fans.
I know a lot of people that all jump to Rubber Soul.
Really?
Yeah. I'll say that's their favorite.
Okay. You know, then there's the fans of the Hamburg era Beatles, you know, with Stu Sutcliffe and
oh, that stuff's incredible.
Yeah, yeah.
That's the thing. Like
you know?
everyone, like a lot of people, like kind of find like the early era Beatles, like it's so teeny bobby, but stuff rocks.
Well, yeah. I mean, you know, you've heard their hits so many times on, you know, growing up.
Yeah.
You know, I saw her standing there, twist and shout.
Yeah.
You know, okay, but you know, then you get into the core of the band.
Yeah.
And this is middle era Beatles genius.
Yeah, I know.
As far as I'm concerned.
And I'll tell you what I mean. Like the artwork on this album.
Yes.
I remember like seeing those eyes.
Those eyes.
I remember like scaring me and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I mean, this is the first time. Again, maybe this is just me being a naive kid, but I always had I always kind of feared the Beatles a little bit. And the reason why I say that is because I remember, like, first of all, there was all that Paul is dead conspiracy stuff.
Okay,
and then you had, like, and there's, like, backwards messages in their albums and stuff like that. And then, of course, there's Revolution number 9. And I remember...
Did you ever actually play number 9 backwards?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's like every time it says number 9, it says "Turn Me On, Dead Man." Well, I don't think it was intentional, but I remember. But this is the first album I think where they just start using backmasking with Rain.
Okay. Yes.
But they really started to do this stuff with this album.
Yes, and what I like about the Beatles as well is they would get this idea. You know, let's try something new. Okay,
Yeah.
So they try something new, then they do it for a little bit, then they move on.
Yeah.
You know, they didn't stay stagnant.
No.
With anything really.
Yeah, I mean, as I'm looking at this, I mean, the artwork for this album is incredible.
I mean, we're talking 1966.
Yeah, this is very incredible.
This would be modern now.
Yeah.
You know?
But you know what? They have an album that they had even better artwork on. And that album would be the White Album.
Agreed. Much better.
Yeah.
Much more innovative, much more creative, artistic.
No eyes looking at you.
Yeah, no eyes looking at you. Just a nice, clean, white cover.